the future of talent acquisition, innovative strategies for finding and retaining top talent. And I would request our moderator, Ms. Shwetha Nayak, Senior Director, People Partner, Marsh McLennan, to please come on the dais. Ms. Shwetha Nayak is a dedicated HR leader known for driving impactful initiatives with a focus on leadership development, recognition programs, diversity, and successful insourcing initiatives. She has enhanced colleague experience and strengthened the organization's brand in the industry. I would also request our panelist, Ms. Judy Manjlekar, Director of People and Culture, India and Asia Pacific, Technip Energies, Ms. Arshia Singh, Director HR, Packaged Foods and Integrated Finance, Tata Consumer Products, Ms. Swati Sinha, VP HR and Head, LNOD, Sterlite Power, to please come on the dais. Thank you.
So how's the Josh today, people? Very good. Energy levels were slightly dipping. I could see that in the room. Hopefully, we will have one more engaging session before another session, another 2 sessions before the lunchtime. And I know it's been a pretty hectic day with a lot of insightful sessions going on. I personally loved the 3 sessions that I could definitely think was something which came up very engaging. One was the transforming the frontline workforce. I think I loved that session. Culture of inclusion, the videos were fantastic, so I'm hoping that some of us can also take that away back to organizations. And of course, the last session which came up was the HRO function, moving the needle. Hopefully now we will get into some more sessions which is around talent acquisition as well. And all of you would have just heard the event moderator talking about what this session is all about. It's definitely touching a very challenging area, which is about innovations in the talent acquisition space. And this is where we get to know what are other companies doing in terms of strategic alignment, whether it's attracting and retaining the talent. So I definitely would want to call out that this seems to be an all-women panel. It's not intentional, it's not by design. We are missing one male colleague, but otherwise we would have definitely wanted to see more diversity. Coming from HR, I know this is a lot of talk, but if you're not able to see it on the floor, I think we are going to be called as hypocrites. So this is not intentional, people. Okay, so some fun facts before we get into the questions. And this is purely because I know that this is a very important area for us in terms of focusing on attracting and retaining the right kind of talent. We're a 1.4 billion populous country in the world. We are the largest populous country today. 50% of our population is in the age group of 15 to 40 years, which means we have a large population which is employable or coming to be in the workforce very soon. A very young and vibrant demographics. Any idea what's our average age in the country today? Anyone? 29 years. That sets us apart from the rest of the world because everywhere we have an aging workforce, and today we have a 29-year-old coming into the workforce. Huge difference, very extreme ends. And of course, GCCs, all of us know, Global Capability Centers. Today we have about 1,900 in India, and we are projected to be about 2,500 to 3,500, anywhere in that number in the next 2 years. So that itself tells us that talent acquisition is going to play a major role in how we will attract and retain our talent. Okay, with that, let's come into our first question, and this is for all of you ladies, girls. What role does employer branding play in attracting top talent, and how can organizations enhance their employer brand? You can go first.
Sure. So I think the pandemic has given us a lot to think about, and ways of working, of course, is the much spoken of topic post that. But I think what is also critical to note is how the power has shifted, the dynamics have shifted from employer to employee. And the global shortage of talent is no myth anymore. It's not hearsay, right? It is known that we will be short of over 86 million human talent who are skilled enough to be in the workforce by 2030. And we are already starting to see some of these symptoms. For example, the great resignation or the great reshuffle, as we may call it, in 2022 was one such great symptom. And post that, I've observed it even in my organization, in organizations around, that the dynamics have surely shifted. And what is interesting to note is that now that the power is in the hand of employees, they're certainly giving employee branding a very big focus. Over 90% of them looking it up before they even apply for an organization or go through it. I know there is an offer drop the moment I say it. Almost all of us would wince in HR just thinking about it. And most of that actually happens a lot because people keep on researching about the organizations and hence decide which of them would actually be a good fit for their career journey. At Tata Consumer Products, we are looking at employer branding in a very structured manner, and we are still in progress to be able to realize our dream of being where we need to be. But the way we are planning it is, first of all, by auditing who we are, what's the kind of employer perspective that people see, what is the persona that we are bringing about in front of other people, then trying to see who is it that we want to actually target in terms of candidates. Because only if we do that, we'll be able to showcase the kind, or even communicate to them in the right manner. Then identifying what differentiates us. I know we carry the Tata legacy, but bolstering that further with a Tata Consumer employee value proposition. And coming to the topic of employee value proposition, then bringing it up, phrasing it in the right manner, aligning it internally. Once these things are done, I think it's all about just communicating it in the right manner, ensuring that we are able to identify and even use our internal brand ambassadors, which becomes a very crucial part of the entire journey. And then finally using, and as I'd like to say it, right, let it be heard, let it be seen all across the organization, all across social media, let it be heard even through as war cries, right? There's a lot that we learn from the armed forces. So war cries is what I'd like to call it. Let our leaders talk about it everywhere that they can, in the starting or the end of the meetings. Let it transcend boundaries, because all of us have great marketing teams, so let's talk about it across various industries, across even on social media, everywhere, using the marketing prowess. And then finally realizing the fact that we're not just looking at it from an HR perspective. In the end, especially for organizations like mine, we are a consumer-facing organization, which means that every candidate, in a lot of ways, is my customer too. Every candidate is actually going to propagate my brand to the entire family and people that they touch on a day-to-day basis. So using that as an opportunity to not just increase my employer branding, but also increase my customer base.
Thank you so much, Arshia.
So if I can just add to what Arshia said, and I think she's beautifully covered everything, but just sharing a very personal experience that someone, in the family is doing MBA, and there was a campus placement happening last year, and we were generally talking as to which companies, you are sitting for and applying. And the person quickly took the names of 2-3 companies, and I asked, what is the rationale for that? And apart from, and let me tell you, the deciding factor was really not the compensation here, but it was the brand that the organization had, And when I asked and probed further as to what made you believe in this brand, there were exact details about what value the brand holds for. Some amazing stories of employees from this organization. In fact, also being aware of very inclusive policies, workplace environments, benefits, etc. And that actually made me realize that right from the time the person is in the college, that's where they start associating themselves with a particular employer brand, and it could be either linked to their own personal values and systems, or it could be what they hear more frequently, what is communicated time and again, because that creates a lasting impression. So why is it that, an Apple is known for a culture of innovation, Or in India, like a company like Tata is known for its very unique employee-friendly policies and a diverse work culture. So I think its employer brand has a very, very critical role to play when it comes to attracting talent. And it starts from the stage of a fresher looking for a appointment in an organization, right up to the lateral hiring we do. Also, just to add, we spoke about employee value proposition. But the other part also is that our internal employees, they are actually the advocates of the organization. They are the ones who are the brand ambassadors of the organization. So what they talk, what they communicate, what they feel and what they put it out becomes very important and create images and brands of the organization. So the word of mouth here spreads much faster, and I think that's where employer branding, both internal and external, plays a crucial role in attracting talent.
Yeah, well said. In fact, I think, Swati, I remember the video that Future Generali played, and I was immensely impressed, saying this is an organization definitely is taking inclusion to the next level. So just imagine Gen Z watching this video on their website. What an impression it creates. And I think that's the first place that you get a sense of the culture and the branding. Today's demographics is so very techno-savvy. They will look for all other options, not just word of mouth, but definitely social media. So some of it is definitely going to be out there.
So if I may, so good afternoon, everybody. So I represent Technip Energies. So we are an engineering, procurement, and construction company, now trying to transform ourselves to a net zero or an energy transition company. So we want to move to technology products and services. But deep in our heart, we are still an engineering company. So I'm just going to compliment a little bit what Swati and Arshia said, because they really covered everything so well. For me, it's not so much about what the internal employee thinks, about what is our brand in the market. It's more about those employees who are not with us, what they think. Because for me, they are the biggest brand ambassadors, and they are the ones who are greatest critics or great appreciators on Glassdoor and Ambition Box or whatever those reviews that our young generation or the available talent in the market they look for. I also believe that we need to really change the way we manage people development, because we have some, we've put in place some career progression metrics, and it's tried and tested, it's matured over the years, and we feel it's working well now. No, maybe it's not. We need to have career progressions for different set of people with different ambitions. Today I hear a lot of the young talent, you ask them, hey, what are you looking for in a brand or in a company? They all say, I'm looking for purpose. And when you try to dig deeper, what do you mean by purpose? So can you explain a little better? They're not that clear. So it's a lot of influence of the social media. Young Gen is looking for a lot of purpose. But what I think they're really looking for in a company is fast-paced growth. As I said, I'm representing an engineering company. So some of our fresh grads, once they finish their training, for the next 3 years, they're just doing the same repetitive calculations or drawing, checking, and they don't want to do that. They want to move up the value chain. So I think fast growth is what the talent workforce is looking for. They want their ideas to be immediately accepted and implemented. It's true. Some of us have worked 15, 16 years in a department, and we still find it a struggle to speak, boldly about something new and innovative. But the young gen, they want and lastly, they are looking for immediate recognition. They want to be known, they want to be appreciated. So I think these are times where we need to adapt as company to the demand of the talent pool, not the other way around. So that's
Thank
my
you.
take.
Very, very well articulated, Judy. And I think I do resonate with some of the points that you mentioned, where every colleague or every employee in the organization is a brand ambassador, and how we behave in public, how we behave outside of the workplace definitely signposts our own organizational values. I also agree with the point that our exited colleagues also play a very, very important role in providing the branding outside. We have enough of those examples on Glassdoor and Indeed and a lot of social media where they can either diss the company or talk highly about the organization. So it's a very, very important target population that we continuously keep forgetting, but something for us to all think through. Switching gears, and we've been talking a lot about the inclusion and diversity initiatives that each organization has been trying to kind of bring into light. What role does diversity, equity, and inclusion play in the talent acquisition space? And anything that you would like to highlight what your organizations are doing to prioritize that? Any challenges that you think have been coming up, and how have you kind of address them? I think this is a very important question for all our people out there because we are still grappling with this area and it starts with the talent acquisition space. You want to go first, Shwetha?
Sure. So I think it's, diversity, equity and inclusion play a very, very vital and critical role in attracting talent. And when I say so, no organization can be successful without having diverse minds coming together and working and finding solutions. Having said so, the employer branding also particularly has helped in attracting diverse candidates. And if I say about my organization in particular, now, Sterlite Power is an infrastructure organization again, and we are also into manufacturing of electrical equipments. Now, in our shop floor, we have about 400 plus women employees. That's a huge number because typically in a manufacturing setup, it's difficult to find women employees. So for us, I think creating and reaching out to a diverse candidate pool has been a very, very important step that we've taken. And this is done through dedicated talent acquisition strategies, dedicated talent drives to attract talent, and ensuring that we identify positions where we can actually hire women talent. One part of our business, which is into transmission, is absolutely based in the toughest of terrains where the transmission powers are being set up. Now, the situation or the location is so tough that we really struggle to get women candidates in those areas. And the reason is also obvious, and we need to also be understanding towards it that probably most women do not wish to work at an out-location site, work in some of the very toughest terrains, and physically it could be exhausting as well. What we have done is we've tried to identify roles which can either be office-based or which could be a site-based office roles where we can deploy more and more women employees. So that's one way we have done it. The other way which I feel attracting a diverse candidate pool helps us is again, coming back to the point I said earlier where your own people are your biggest advocates. So, building those, and I think storytelling here really helps because it has far and more reach to the people across. So, women talking about their success stories in the organization, their journeys, their upliftments, their benefits, has always helped to get more talent in the organization, more diverse talent in the organization. And I'm right now here, when we talk about diversity, we all know it's just not about gender diversity, but I am focusing it here right now because for us, with the kind of industry background we come from, this is a starting point, I would say. We are still working on the gender diversity part, which itself, if I look at some of the other industries, in infrastructure, we are much lower. We are about 10 to 11% diversity, gender diversity is what we have. So I think these are some of the areas, ways by which diverse talent pools should be attracted.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that diversity definitely goes beyond gender, but yes, coming from an infrastructure background, this could be an area for us to focus. I'm also aware that there are a lot of companies who do think that, and there's a lot of awareness and self-reflection on hiring biases. Typically, if you're hiring as a recruiter, you also have your own biases which come into play, and that's one of the first steps to address. And I know that there's a lot of conversation about how AI can help facilitate or mitigate the bias, but there are also pros in terms of how AI is equipped. We can talk about it in length as we go through, but yes, this is another good point. Arshia, for you.
Yeah, just would like to add on to what you mentioned about hiring biases. I think it is valid, and in fact, a few years back, I always used to feel that if I have a certain bias, there's a big problem. But what we've done recently is we've had multiple sessions within the organization, especially with the HR team, HR business partners and the TA team, to talk about biases, to talk about the fact that it's not wrong to have biases. It's important to be aware of them. It's important to think through and see, this is a bias that I have. This is what intrinsically I've been feeling, and there are many reasons, many neurons in the mind that are working since many years back that are leading to those biases. You can't go back and erase it. But you have to be aware of it, and in any situation where you realize that this is a particular instance where my bias will come up, just check yourself. I think that's an important conversation that we've had in our organization, and it has helped quite a bit. Second thing that we do is do some checks and balances ourselves to ensure that, of course, meritocracy is the most important part. We will never go and hire somebody who we don't feel deserves a job. But it is important to place people who are a little far behind generationally over years onto the table. So a certain percentage of women, female CVs will always be placed on the table for every particular job. Identification of hot jobs, as we call them, where it is easier, relatively easier for a woman to either get placed or perform, will surely be placed, because there are realities, right? There are tier 2, tier 3 cities where we have our sales force, and it may not be right to just start off with a particular state and say, this is where I place my women employees, just to make a point. It's important to be pragmatic. So that's the second thing that we do. And then finally, it is also important to ensure that if one has a seat on the table, it is well utilized. So the women who have a seat on the table, we anchor a lot through them to ensure that we make a point to, if not take away biases, but at least talk about it freely. And what is even better is the fact that I'm talking more gender right now because we're grappling with that more, is I found many male propagators. And I think it's important to showcase them, because that's something that I believe is really powerful. Lastly, I believe that gender diversity, equity, inclusion goes beyond when you get a person into an organization, but there are many instances in an employee's career journey where you know that this person may drop off, this person may go back. I recently faced that myself when I had a young baby. And the thoughts that start coming on while you're going through your journey of being a mother is something that needs to be addressed. And what helped me, and I see helping around, is the fact that we've very organically created communities, organically created a band of women who support each other through that journey, some formally by providing a buddy who's been through that journey recently. And second, I also had a counselor working through with me throughout that journey. It's important to have a safe space to talk. And yeah, some of those things I believe have really worked, and we are taking it as baby steps.
Wow, I like the counselor bit and the band of women colleagues, which kind of you have as a lean-in support. So good points there. Judy?
Yeah, so again, the last question when you answered, Arshia, you spoke about war cry. So I think DE&I has really become a war cry for all companies. And maybe it is right, maybe it is the time, maybe needle needs to move. Because I've been in this profession and the energy sector for more than 25 years, and I have been hearing about it, and it's just a display on your value code, or we still speak about gender pay equality. Abhi analysis karenge. I've been hearing this for like 25 years, it should not be featuring in one of your initiatives for this year. which really means that the needle hasn't moved. So now is the time, war cry or not. I think this is what needs to happen. Whatever my co-panelists spoke here, till we don't put it into firm policies, I don't think it can be implemented to the fullest. Otherwise, it's an intentionally good thing we want to do. We want to bring about more DE&I into the organization. So intentionally, we want to do that as a man, as a woman. Workplace has no gender. I truly believe this. But really, we don't know how to go about it. So I believe HR has a big role to play. And of course, your leadership has to be supportive. There is always a cost impact in some of these, to make these decisions. So they need to support with the money that is needed, the budget. But HR has an important role to put in policies and procedures and have some governance around it. Have some strong KPIs around it. Otherwise, it's just a good to have thing, and at the end of the year, you've really not done much. So there are many more points, but that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I still recall one of the esteemed speaker who had spoken about who owns the DEI piece, right? And it's HR or the CEO, and I think it is everyone's accountability. Definitely the leadership, the C-suite has to take the ownership at the top, but we all have a very, very important role to play. Last question, and I know that we will have just about 5 minutes, so I will come to you, Arshia. We always know that, best impressions are the first ones that we create. And we also know that it is a challenge for us where we are also measured as an HR team about our new hire attrition. We see a lot of the 0 to 6 months kind of tenure easily leaving the workforce. What are some of the strategies that we as a group can take away from today's, this session as to how do you retain your top talent, your best talent that we struggle to find in the market, and it's painful to see them walk out within 6 months. What is it that we can do differently in an organization?
Sure. So I think culture and eventually it all boils down to careers, right? Culture and career are the two things that I believe are important for people who come into an organization. Culture is a much wider topic. We touched about it a few minutes back. But let's talk careers right now. And I think when somebody is joining the organization, paycheck is important, but they want to see what is the journey that they can traverse and take themselves through in that organization. And the first few months will give them a hint of what is this organization capable of adding to my CV. And for me, what I've observed over the last few years is the secret sauce is succession planning. Because if we continue talking talent, beyond a point it sounds like just a very nice topic to that HR wants to bring onto the table. But it has to serve a business purpose. The business purpose that we need to solve is fortifying the organization and especially certain critical jobs. So for us, what we do is we identify jobs that are critical to us, without which we believe the organization surely cannot succeed. While all jobs are important, but which are the critical ones? Identifying what are the matrices that will help you get to those jobs. Then very methodically and analytically identifying what is the success matrix or a success profile of doing that job. Finding the people or candidates within the organization who you believe can be a part of those jobs. And then finally ensuring that you do anything and everything that it takes to ring fence those people. This is a 4-step thing that we are following, and we are seeing some results of it. And in the end, it's all about what people see, right? People will start seeing certain success stories. People will start seeing people's careers moving fast. They will start seeing how people have traversed various jobs laterally, diagonally, vertically. And there are certain matrices that we keep on talking about on a day-to-day basis, because we believe in talent inward first and then outward. IGPs, of course, is an enabler, but for us, usually our internal mobility is over 35 to 40%, which means that for every 100 jobs, about 40 of those jobs are being fulfilled internally. So I think some of these things, as people start seeing when they enter an organization and they see how people's careers have traversed, it helps them feel that, this is a long-term relationship that I want with an organization and not a very short fling.
Yeah, thank you so much for that thought. And with that happy note, we come to the end of the session. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as we did. We really had a lively audience and hope all of you are awake for the next 40 minutes or so before we break for lunch. Thank you.